I'm Jamie Jelinski, and I'm a Canadian who recently relocated to the United Kingdom to join the Department of Communication and Media at the University of Liverpool, where I work as a lecturer in visual culture and cultural studies. I'm also a member of the Centre for Culture and Everyday Life. What I'm mainly known for at this point is my book, Needlework, A History of Commercial Tattooing in Canada. I'm interested in studying topics that exist outside the boundaries of or on the margins of mainstream academic discourse, specifically visually oriented topics. So that book on tattooing transitioned into an interest in crime-related imagery, specifically, although not exclusively, in Canada. As someone trained in art history and history, my main research method up to this point has been archival research. And so this includes looking at historical information, historical images at institutions such as government archives, institutional archives, and private collections. And when I say private collections, this could encompass looking at old material that has been held in somebody's garage or attic for decades. Aside from the archival research, I'm also using visual and material analysis. And so what I mean by that is, what does an object or an image look like? Where did it come from? How has it been displayed? How has it been used? And more recently, within the past couple of years, I've gone into using freedom of information requests to access material held by government institutions. And this can be documents, it can be reports, but of specific interest to me, it can be images, video. Recently, I published an article in a journal entitled Grey Room, which examines the use of fax machines by Canada's Federal Police Force to transmit images of criminals during the 1960s and early 1970s. And that's part of a broader research project that examines how the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were producing and circulating images of criminals from roughly the 1950s through to the early 2000s. Beyond that, I also published an article in Sculpture Journal that relates to that project as well, that examines how the Royal Canadian Mounted Police fashioned sculpted composite busts of unidentified criminals' faces during the 1950s. I have 3 standalone book projects planned that will roughly take me over the next decade or so. One examines the use of freedom of information legislation to examine crime-related imagery. Another one investigates the production of facial composites at the Royal Canadian Mounted Police from roughly the 1950s to the present day. And finally, a third project that assesses how images functioned at the first forensic crime laboratory established in North America, which opened in Quebec in 1914. In the short term, I have a research trip planned to Aberdeen next week to examine the influence that research being done in psychology at the University of Aberdeen was influencing criminal identification techniques in Canada. Afterward, I'll travel to Lyon in France and Turin in Italy to investigate how early 19th century criminological work being done in those 2 cities influenced subsequent work in Canada.